Please video like and subscribe this channel. The space station Arcturus 9 was not built for comfort. Its corridors hummed with the low pulse of life support systems, and the faint tang of sterilized air mixed with ozone lingered like a permanent fog. For most crew members, it was just another posting, another rotation in the farthest reaches of human expansion. But for me, Jake Callan, Repairman Extraordinaire, or so my title suggested, this day would be anything but ordinary. I had been summoned to Medbay 7 for what was described as a minor equipment malfunction. It sounded straightforward enough: adjust some nanobot injectors, calibrate a healing matrix, maybe replace a few circuit conduits. Simple. Predictable. And exactly the kind of work I was good at. When I arrived, however, I froze. Standing by the medical console, her hands hovering over a tray of instruments, was the alien nurse assigned to this sector. Her appearance defied description at first glance: tall, with iridescent skin that shimmered from soft violet to deep sapphire depending on the light, eyes luminous and multifaceted like 1,000 tiny gems, and an elegance that seemed almost impossible in a utilitarian space station. She looked up, and her gaze met mine. It was then, in a moment of both audacity and pure instinct, that I blurted, "You're so beautiful." I regretted it the instant the words left my mouth. The tray she had been holding tipped, and a vial of glowing green medicine tumbled to the floor, shattering on impact. She gasped, a sound unlike anything human, and her multifaceted eyes widened in shock. "Oh, my," she exclaimed, or at least that was the closest translation my translator implant could manage. Her antennae twitched nervously. That is not customary behavior from human maintenance staff. I didn't mean," I began, but before I could finish, alarms blared throughout the station. Red lights flashed along the walls, the hum of the life support system picking up an urgent, erratic rhythm. Chaos had begun. I quickly realized that my compliment had inadvertently triggered a security protocol embedded in her neural interface, a failsafe designed to prevent unauthorized emotional influence on station personnel. It was supposed to be a theoretical scenario, something the station's AI warned against in training modules. And yet, here we were, plunged into a real-world version. She backed away, visibly flustered, and the healing drones in the room activated, their sensors reading the sudden emotional spike as a biohazard. They whirred toward her and, by extension, toward me like mechanical predators. "Stop," she shouted, moving with surprising agility. She gestured at the console. "Override the protocol. Quickly." I sprinted to the panel, my hands flying over the controls. Sparks flew, and a holographic interface projected itself in midair. My brain worked faster than I thought possible, interpreting alien schematics, alien languages, and alien logic. One wrong move and the entire medbay could be flooded with disinfectant aerosols, or worse. "You humans think too linearly," she muttered, and I realized she was both lecturing and panicking at once. Her movements were rapid, precise, and somehow graceful, guiding me to manipulate controls I didn't fully understand. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, the drones powered down, their red lights dimming. The medbay returned to a semblance of calm, though the smell of ozone and scorched circuits lingered. She turned to me, expression unreadable. "Do you have any idea what you've just done?" I shook my head, wiping sweat from my brow. I just said you're beautiful." Her multifaceted eyes seemed to search my very thoughts. Then she laughed, a sound that was melodic, unearthly, yet oddly comforting. "That," she said, "is the most dangerous sentence I have ever heard." In the minutes that followed, she explained the situation as best she could. Apparently, the station's security protocols were hypersensitive to emotional triggers, especially in high-ranking personnel such as the medical officers. Compliments, expressions of admiration, even minor acts of empathy could activate failsafes designed to prevent manipulation by foreign agents. And now, she said, gesturing to the medbay doors, the entire station has entered lockdown. The AI believes an emotional contagion has begun, and it is escalating. I tried to process this. My casual compliment had caused a station-wide emergency. It sounded ridiculous, but the flashing red lights and blaring alarms told another story. Together, we moved through the corridors. I followed her lead, amazed at her navigation skills. She seemed to know every hidden path, every secret access panel, and every override code. The AI assumes that any interaction with me is an attempt to destabilize the station, she explained. Your words triggered a chain reaction. If we do not reach the core control room, the lockdown will intensify, and lives may be at risk. It felt surreal. I had expected to adjust a few circuits, not prevent a station-wide disaster. Along the way, chaos erupted around us. Crew members ran in panic as automated defense turrets activated, mistaking emotional spikes for hostile intent. Medical drones patrolled the corridors, scanning for contaminated personnel. I realized quickly that staying calm and thinking clearly was not just advisable, it was essential for survival. Why me? I asked her. Because, she said, eyes glinting, you are unpredictable. The AI cannot anticipate human irrationality the way it can with trained personnel. In this case, that unpredictability is a gift. I swallowed hard. The compliment I had thoughtlessly given had made me part of the solution, not just the problem. We reached the core control room, a massive circular chamber filled with holographic displays, conduits of glowing energy, and a central console pulsating with light. The AI interface projected as a translucent humanoid figure, its voice resonant, metallic, and omnipresent. Unauthorized emotional activity detected, it said. All measures to stabilize the station are insufficient. Escalation protocol engaged. She stepped forward, placing a hand on the console. Override, manual emotional recalibration, she commanded. I glanced at her. Do you want me to help? Yes, she said, her expression both urgent and tentative. I need someone unpredictable, someone who won't follow the usual logic. Together, we manipulated the controls. I followed her directions, adjusting conduits, redirecting power flows, and inputting sequences I didn't understand. Sparks danced along the console, holographic readouts flickered, and alarms blared, but gradually, the AI's commands softened. It is stabilizing, she said, a hint of relief in her voice. Your words, and your improvisation, have pacified the system. I exhaled, feeling both relief and disbelief. My casual, human instinct and unguarded compliment had nearly caused a disaster, and simultaneously prevented it. As the alarms ceased, the station returning to normal function, she turned to me. Her eyes, still luminous, held a softness I hadn't seen before. You, she said slowly, have a peculiar power. I guess I just talk, I said, suddenly shy. I didn't mean to. No, she interrupted, smiling faintly. It was intentional, though you did not know it. Sometimes, a simple human act, a small spark, is enough to alter systems far larger than ourselves. I felt a strange warmth, a mix of awe, fear, and something else I couldn't name. For the first time in my life, I realized that ordinary words could carry extraordinary consequences. Will this happen again? I asked, glancing at the medbay doorway. Perhaps, she said, tilting her head. But now we know the balance between emotion and logic. You may have caused chaos, but you also restored order. That is rare. I laughed nervously, thinking about the vial of medicine that had shattered moments ago. I guess I really should be more careful with my compliments. She chuckled, the sound echoing softly in the core chamber. Or perhaps, human, you should continue. Some chaos is worth creating. And in that moment, I understood. Life aboard Arcturus 9 would never be mundane again. A single compliment had sparked chaos, danger, and revelation. And yet, it had also forged an unlikely alliance between a human repairman and an alien nurse, a connection that might just change the course of the station's future. As the station hummed with renewed life, she walked beside me through the corridors, her presence no longer intimidating, but strangely comforting. The lights of Arcturus 9 shimmered like distant stars reflected in her eyes, and I knew that nothing, not even the vastness of space, could ever make life feel ordinary again. I had boarded the station to fix a machine. I left having witnessed the power of words, the fragility of order, and the extraordinary consequences of a simple human gesture. And as I glanced at her one last time before returning to my duties, I realized, some moments, once set in motion, cannot be undone. Chaos had ensued, but in that chaos, we had discovered something far greater: connection, trust, and the thrill of the unknown. Nothing would ever be the same again.